Good afternoon and welcome to today's hearing. Following last week's hearing with FDA Commissioner Dr. Robert Califf, we are again looking at the infant formula recall, the nationwide formula shortage, and the impact it is having on infants, kids, and families. In the past week, both Congress and the administration have moved swiftly to address the formula shortage crisis. Last week, Congress passed two bills which would expedite the return of safe formula to store shelves and expand the options that our most vulnerable families have when purchasing formula through the Supplemental Nutrition Program for women, infants, and children. We must continue to press forward with oversight of the FDA, as well as get the FDA the much needed resources to meet the needs of the crisis and allow them to increase the capacity to inspect and ensure the safety of the formula supply, both in the US and as we bring in emergency supplies from abroad. We need the funds to get this done. The administration also moved quickly by invoking the Defense Production Act to streamline the supply lines for existing safe formula to get to American shelves, even from overseas suppliers. The administration is also using the Defense Production Act to make sure that our domestic manufacturers have access to the ingredients they need to ramp up production of the formula. Today's hearing is important because we need to fully understand the impact of a shortage of formula supply on our country. As we will hear from today's witnesses, formula supply does not just impact infants. It strains our grocery chains, and families in different communities face different challenges. Without information, worry takes over and leads to counterproductive behavior like hoarding, and it creates fertile ground for bad actors, creating fake formula and sellers and price gougers. For that, I am pleased to introduce and welcome our panel of witnesses. Sarah Chamberlain, who is Executive Director of the National PKU News. Michael Gay, owner and manager of Food Fresh in Claxton, Georgia, representing the National Grocers Association. Ginger Carney, Director of Clinical Nutrition at St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. And Brian Ronholm, Director of Food Policy at Consumer Reports. Thank you all so much for being here. Our first witness is Sarah Chamberlain, a mother whose 8-year-old daughter relies on special formula for about 70% of her nutrition. It is a reminder that formula is not just for infants and that specialty formula is life-sustaining and can be needed for lifelong nutrition as a medical treatment for certain conditions. Simply put, there are no alternatives. I'm also glad we will hear from Michael Gay, representing the National Grocers Association. Grocers are very much on the front lines. They are on the ground and can see a community's needs in real time. I'm very concerned about our rural communities that often have only one grocery store, leaving people with little choice but to travel significant distances for formula. I'm also looking forward to hearing from our other witnesses, Ginger Carney, who is the Director of Clinical Nutrition at St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Carney and Brian Ronholm, Director of Food Policy at Consumer Reports, to gain insight from their expert knowledge and their decades of experience. Both Abbott and FDA share in the blame for the situation we are in right now. Whereas Abbott failed the public by not maintaining a safe manufacturing site to produce this vital nutritional resource. The FDA did not live up to expectations, inspecting and responding to concerns about the manufacturing process and safety. Because of these circumstances, we find ourselves climbing out of a crisis which has harmed children and understandably worried families. I'm glad this committee will give voice to those stories today. I again want to thank our witnesses for being here. We know how busy you are. And on behalf of the committee, we are grateful that you've taken the time to speak with us today. Now I'd like to ask our distinguished ranking